but we have some sad breaking news to talk about. McNuggets, go ahead. I know you have it too.
I'm sure you guys have seen this in the last few minutes. Tough news here, but the Cleveland Guardians have officially announced the passing of John Adams. John had been with the team for nearly 50 years. He was the drummer that sound synonymous with the Indians throughout the years, maybe one of the most iconic sounds in all of baseball. You guys have been here much longer than me, Jay. I know you're tied in with the Guardians and the Indians, that whole organization. So did you know John personally by any chance?
I met him a couple of times. I'll quickly say this. All of us, if you're on this show panel or you're watching this show, you are a diehard Cleveland sports fan. Mm-hmm. When I was at ESPN, we did a series on the best fans in the country. And John Adams was always brought up and was always finished in the top 2 or 3. And here's why. John Adams brought a big, huge bass drum to every single game of really bad baseball for many of those years. Mm-hmm. For 50 years.
That's crazy.
That's 81 crazy. Times a year. That's not opening day in April when even if it's 42, you're going because it's opening day and you got cabin fever. The Tuesday game in April where it's 37 and raining in 1972. The September 27th game in 1979 when you're 50 games out of first place. Mm-hmm. You lug that drum, you walk your walk, you go to your spot in the bleachers, and anytime there's even anything closely resembling a rally, even if they're down 13-1 in the 8th inning, boom, 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 boom. We know the Duke of Earl, the Duke of Knee Jerk, there's times when your team is awful where you just say, I can't watch him today, I can't do it.
I'm not going to do it.
He lugged his drum. And he was the heartbeat of that organization. He was as good a fan as I personally have ever known. And, John, you are going to be dearly, dearly missed by the fandom of Cleveland. It's a sad day.
I'm 41. And we listen. So just think, my grandfather, right? You know, my grandfather passed away when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. And he listened. And I used to hear that drum.
In the background.
In the background.
Boom, boom,
and then
boom.
My father got old, and we used to listen to it in the car because he was always driving around. And then I heard it for almost 40 years.
Linking 3 generations, in some cases probably 4 generations.
And he did, just the simple fact that you done been at every single game. You not on the payroll. You doing that just because you do it. And it's just like you saying, he has that bass drum, and he was the heartbeat. He's the heartbeat of the Guardians and the Indians. So, man, rest in peace. And
he's been fighting cancer for a number of years now.
Wow.
And, we've done some stories upstairs at Channel 3 on his fight. And, we've all chronicled through the years his, fan is obviously short for fanatic. I just don't think that's ever been more appropriately used than to describe John Adams, a guy who, through rain, through cold, through losing streaks, through year after year after year. Guys, in the 70s, when the old AL East was a thing, and they were in the same division with the Yankees and the Red Sox, most years by July 4th, it was over. A wrap. Baseball was over.
So John Adams
and there was no wild card.
John Adams epitomizes what Cleveland and Cleveland sports is all about, right? I can vividly remember my father, who listened to the Indians at the time on transistor radio every day, sitting in his little perch seat by the front door. You would always hear this drum in the background beating. I mean, it was like synonymous with just watching the Tribe play. That was one of the things.
Did you ever get to meet John?
I never got to meet him.
You would have loved him.
And so I would just tell you this, that it's sad in that because sometimes you think people will be here forever, right? You're gonna be here forever. That drum gonna be forever, right? Yeah. And then sometimes you don't also equate the trials and tribulations that people are going through at the time that they're servicing you on the other side. You don't really have an appreciation for it because you're not immersed in it. Well, this man gave his heart and soul to the Cleveland Indians organization and the Guardians organization.
The fact that you don't miss a game for 5 decades, do you know how many times he had to feel under the weather.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how many times he had a wedding to go to, or he had something big that was
Car
going on
broke
in his life?
down.
But he said, nope, I've got a job to do, and that's to try to drum up support, literally, when the Indians are in the midst of a rally. And off he would go. And I can't remember, I think he went through countless drums. He would replace the head on them, but through the years, he went through countless drums, countless drum sticks. He must have beat that drum millions of times over the course of those 5 decades.
So think about it. Think about it during the times when the heyday, when it from 94 to about 99, bro, he used to start banging that drum, and you knew the Indians was coming back.
Yeah.
You knew it was his 3-run home run on deck, especially when you had that lineup and you said, man, you go from the top to the bottom, you got Ramirez and you got Baerga, and you got Alomar, and you got Bell and Sereno, or whether it's Tomey, you just knew there was going to be a rally, and he would bang that drum. They'd be down by 9 runs.
I'm going to tell you,
there were times they were down by 9 and it worked.
It worked.
I just did the math. So he did 81 games a year, 50 years. He did over 4,000 games, and I did 3.5 hours per game.
Yep.
He's got 14,000 hours at tribe games. 14,000. 14,000 hours.
Yeah. A lot of people don't have a hobby that even comes close to
14,000 hours.
The first thing that I think of is, as much as we all wanted it in 2016, it's just such a shame to me that he never got to see a Cleveland World Series, a World Series championship.
Right.
Because as much as we all wanted it, for ourselves or for, relatives that were sick and maybe not going to get another season.
Think about that.
John never had a chance. He came close in 95, came even closer in 97, and came close once again in 2016. And it just, sadly, it just wasn't in the cards. And John's family, our thoughts and prayers are with you. I think, organizations retire numbers of great players.
They do.
And I'm sure the Guardians are going to do something.
Yeah.
I think they should just, up there where they have the zeros and the number, the plaques of the numbers, just put a bass drum and his name, John Adams. And that will say it all, because what he gave to the organization for all those years is the bar you want to set for all your fans to achieve. And I think there should be some sort of plaque,
question.
some sort of commemoration of his dedication to the organization that is in plain sight for every fan to see when they come into Progressive Field, because he was the one and only. He'll never be duplicated, and our thoughts and prayers are certainly with his family during this really tough time.